Hello, my sewing friends. I'm Jen. This is my sewing room, and today is Mushroom Day. Mushroom Day is a collaboration that I am doing with several of my friends. One of those friends is Andra from Andra Makes, and Andra suggested that all of us make something out of fabric that has mushrooms on it, and we would all do it on the same day. And so today's the day. Andra is from Andra Makes, and she is an incredible woman, beautiful. And when I say beautiful, I don't just mean pretty, I mean beautiful. She is a godly woman full of wisdom, always the voice of reason. She's got it together. I'll tell you what, I realized how scatterbrained I am when I talk to her. She's wonderful. I've met her for lunch a couple of times when I was on my way up through the country, and I just love her. Well, she was the one that suggested it to the rest of our friends in the group, who are Adam from Adam Sews, Carol from Sew Carol, and Trish from Pinky's Farm. We talk all the time, all the time. We even get together on Wednesdays and do a Zoom call. We enjoy this and each other so much. It's like you have that special group of sewing friends who you can talk with about sewing, especially when you have no one else in your life who does sew. And I don't have anyone else in my life. So I have the Golden Girls here in Florida, and then I have I don't know, maybe we'll start calling ourselves the Mushroom Crowd. Okay, well, for this collaboration, we each chose a different fabric, but it did have to have a mushroom on it, or mushrooms, and all kinds of patterns. We made all kinds of different things, and we didn't tell each other. So today's the big reveal day. Well, I chose Simplicity 9377. I made this skirt, but in the shorter version. View A has buttons down one side, View B has them down both sides, and it is the longer, more midi length, and then View C has a contrast waistband, and it's a shorter length. This pattern comes in sizes 6 up to a 24. I made a size 14, wishing that I had sized up in the waist to a 16, because, man, I put this thing on, and although it is very forgiving because of the buttons, I had to move them over because it was just cutting off my circulation. It was not good. It calls for about 2.5 yards of fabric, but I didn't realize the fabric I used was a one-way design. So I was initially going to make the same one that the model is wearing, View B, but I didn't have enough fabric, so I made View C. The fabric I chose is a denim from Joann Fabrics, and it has little mushrooms embroidered. I looked for a lot of different fabrics, and because I didn't know what I wanted to make. I didn't know if I wanted to use a knit and make a dress or a top, or, you know, like joggers. I had no idea what I wanted to do. You know, I could have gone with just like a calico cotton and a simple dress, but I thought, no, you know, I knew I had this, and I thought that might be really good for that. Well, then I went in search of fabric, and Joann's came to the rescue. And this is just a 100% cotton denim. It's very lightweight. And it feels great. It's great to sew because it's denim, you know, it's like calico. It'll do exactly what you want. But it is a one-way design, so I should have probably gotten another at least half a yard of fabric, and I would have gotten the length. But the length that I ended up making is totally fine. I did a very narrow hem, worked great. Okay, what's notable about this pattern, you ask? I'll give you one guess. Do you see how many buttons go down here? That means that many buttonholes too. This calls for 22 5/8 inch buttons. Lots of buttons. And I had to source these buttons, and I wanted wood because I think wood looked best against the denim. I think if you use like a white clearish or white, any kind of a, you know, button against this fabric, I thought, you know, it will just look like it's a little bit cheaper. You know, it's not as well made because quality materials were not used. And I thought it would have looked fine, but I liked it with the wood. I just thought it took it up a notch. Well, wood buttons are expensive. So I found packages like this of lots of wood buttons that are probably used for crafters, but there were 11 in this package and I got a second package. It had 11 more. Turned out that I didn't need that many. I have 2 left over. And so then I had to make all those buttonholes. And so when you talk about this pattern and the challenges that it presents, that's one. Buttonholes don't scare me, but I don't like them very much because my machine is not dependable to give me a consistent buttonhole over and over and over again. Well, you know, I made 20 buttonholes and I ended up tearing out 3 of them. And that was no fun because it's just no fun. But what I did find was when it didn't give me enough coverage, the zigzag, I just went over it again. And then I got buttonholes that I was happy with. So then I had to sew on 20 buttons. So honestly, that's what took all the time. This skirt is constructed in such a way that you have the front and then you have the back. Now the back does encompass, I should say, the side pockets. It does have side seam pockets. But so the back wraps around kind of to the front, but the front is a separate piece because it's connected by the buttons, and that's how you get in and out of the skirt. So it's kind of odd. You know, you're finished, but you've got 2 separate pieces, a front and a back, and then you have to button them together, and you actually hem it before you do that. Well, I waited until after that because I wanted to make sure I got the hem right. And all things considered, I think this pattern would be far better served to have a center back seam with a back zip because it's just difficult to get in and out with all these buttons. Now you don't have to unbutton them all, just enough to get yourself in, but you know, trying to button these, especially if this is tight at all, then I don't know. I just think that might be a really smart idea to put a zip up the back. So if I were going to make this again, I would put a zip up the back and just make it easier to get in and out of. I think it would be a very simple thing because you've got a back yoke here and it would be simple to just put, you know, slice it up, put a center back seam on. I initially thought that this was too tight and it was too tight and I moved over the buttons just enough to give me breathing room. But you know, I think that, I don't know, I thought I'd fiddle around with it and maybe make it bigger, but denim tends to grow. And so, I don't know, maybe starting out with it tight is better than not. I don't like things around my waist these days. I don't know, I just like to be comfortable and having something tight around your waist isn't always comfortable. And I don't have much of a waist anymore, but I don't know. I think if you're going to err on the side of too loose or too tight, I would rather it be too tight because the fabric will usually stretch and grow as you wear it. Okay, so, you know, that's basically all the challenges that there were to the construction elements. I mean, you just have a simple waistband and a pleated skirt. I think the pleats are great because they lay flat against your body. They don't gather and bunch up and, you know, accent the, you know, the bumps and bulges that I have. I like a flat pleat that is going to give me fullness as it releases, but it lays flat against my body. I don't know that I will sew this again for myself. I don't know, it might be fun to mix it up, you know, like they've done here with the contrast waistband and then the skirt. It's cute. It's really cute, but I don't generally wear this kind of a thing. I'm really glad I have it though for, you know, times, I don't know, it's very fall-ish, you know? I don't have a lot of fall-ish clothes. I have a lot of summer clothes, but this is nice to have for the fall, you know, and it would look cute with boots, leggings, tights, a turtleneck, top, you know, I mean, it would just look really cute. You could do a lot with it. You could put a vest on, you could put a cardigan on, you know, you could dress this up or dress it down, especially depending on the fabric you used. I think that a red corduroy would be beautiful for Christmas. So I recommend this for a confident beginner. Beginners need to be able to do buttonholes, and you know, we can all sew on a button, but the best way to become comfortable with that is just to do a bunch. So if you like this and you want to make sure that you can do a buttonhole, just practice. That's what I did. I just practiced on my machine. I wanted to make sure that my buttonholes were going to be consistent one to the next. And if you have a machine that will do them for you automatically, usually it will. One tip I will tell you is that if you have paper or a paper towel, or if you actually have tearaway stabilizer, that's a good idea to put underneath your fabric to stabilize all of this, because you're going to end up cutting these pieces apart. So that really helps if you can stabilize that and then be able to tear away the thing that made it stable. You're going to get a nice straight tight buttonhole, and that'll make a big difference. The only other thing I did with buttonholes was I have a chisel and a little, I don't even know where I got this. I think it was with some quilting stuff I bought one time, but it's a little tiny, you know, mat, a cutting mat. You can do this with a block of wood too, and that's probably the smarter choice, because if you can see here, I've really kind of, yeah, gotten in there. A chisel. A chisel will go right through your buttonhole like this. You just put it there, and then you put it down on a flat surface and hammer it a couple of times, and you will get a perfect opening for your buttons, for your buttonhole. And this I got at Harbor Freight. It was a package of 3, and it had a narrow one, a little bit wider. I think it was like a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and then 1 inch wide. And you know, you can get a fancy one from a sewing supply store or from, you know, fabric store, but this was not expensive, and I got a thing of 3. So yet another unconventional notion from an unconventional place. You can find these in any hardware store. So yes, I like the skirt. I recommend the skirt for a confident beginner or someone who is ready to up their game and start doing a lot of buttonholes. I also sewed my buttons on the machine. So there we have it, the mushroom collaboration. Please make sure that you go enjoy the other videos from the other mushroom collaborators that are my dear sweet friends. Andra from Andra Makes, who came up with the idea, Adam from Adam Sews, Carol from Sew Carol, and Trish from Pinky's Farm. They're all listed down in the description box below. I will see you next time. If you'd like to see a playlist of all of my collaborations, including Andra, check right over here, and I'll leave you with this from the book of 1 John. For this is the original message, that we love each other.